Namaste, this is Prabhat this side and welcome to another video. Today we will basically talk about the teacher training course, a 200-hour teacher training course, and what you would expect to do in the first week of such a course. So I have enrolled myself to a 200-hour yoga teacher training course in Rishikesh in World Peace Yoga Center. It's a very nice school. The intention behind this video is to share with you, typically what is exactly happening in these classes, right? So let's start. I'll quickly introduce to you what's our daily schedule like. So our schedule starts at 5 o'clock in the morning and it runs till almost 7:45 in the evening. So from 5 to 6 we have a meditation class, then from 6 to 7:30 we have a Hatha class, from 8 to 9 p.m. a.m. we have the Pranayama class, after which we have the break session where we have breakfast. Then from 11 to 12 we have the alignment and adjustment class. From 12:15 to 1:15 we have the human anatomy class, after which we have another break where we have lunch. Then starting at 3:45 we have a 1-hour philosophy class. Then at 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. we have the Ashtanga Vinyasa class, and finally from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. we have the meditation class. Morning meditation. So this is sort of not a compulsory class, means like you don't have to attend this class for your certification as such, but it is highly recommended to start your day with this class. So this class starts at 5 o'clock in the morning and we are basically doing some Om chanting in these classes. Then we are doing some internal Om chanting, and then we are essentially sitting in silence and we are trying to become aware about our thoughts and trying to observe the mind, see what's happening. And I have, I missed this class I think once in my first week, but yeah, it's a very calming experience. So this is how we start our day. Then we have like a 5 to 10 minutes break. And then we start the Hatha Yoga class. Now, before I talk about what is Hatha Yoga class, let's discuss what is Hatha Yoga. So yoga or yog literally means union of yourself with the divine or the supreme consciousness, something on those lines, like a union between you and the universe. And Hatha sort of means like very stubborn. It also can be referred to as, the moon and the sun, which in Indian mythology is like a balance. It represents balance. So you can interpret it as conditioning of the human body, with stubbornness and balance to achieve, awareness with the universe. Something on those lines is what is Hatha Yoga. I will not go too deeply into this. This is just to give you an idea of what Hatha Yoga is about. This is also a very traditional style of yoga. It is the original style of yoga from which most modern practices have emerged. Typically what's happening in these classes is in the first 1 week is we have been doing some warm-up exercises, we have been doing some joint exercises, we have been doing some butterfly exercises to open our hips, and we are doing some asana practices also. So this is typically what is happening in the Hatha class so far. Next week classes have more details where we'll talk about the structure of the class. Now after the Hatha class we have the Pranayama class. Now Pranayama prana means the life force. In simple words you can think of it like the air which we are breathing in, and Pranayama means sort of cleansing of the life force or cleansing of toxins from the body, something on those lines. Now typically what is happening in the Pranayama class is we have been discussing a lot about breathing. There are different types of breathing like abdominal breathing and certain exercises which you can do to improve that. Then you have thoracic breathing, and then you have cervicular breathing also. And then we are discussing about yogic breathing. And yogic breathing in simple terms basically combines all these three breathings into one. and we are doing certain exercises so far about these different breathing techniques. Apart from that, we are also discussing about detoxification. There are various different levels of detoxification and blockages which are present in us. They could be present at the physical level, physical body level, which we can cleanse by just taking a shower, or like removing our toxins in the form of taking a poo in the morning, sweating, drinking lots of water. And there are other levels also. For example, our emotional blockages, our mental blockages in our energy channels. Like there's in pranayama philosophy, we have nadis or energy channels all over our body. They are hypothetical concepts, and the pranayama practices also help us to cleanse these energy channels. And so we have been basically having discussions about these concepts in the first week. That is how what has been happening in the pranayama classes. After which we have breakfast. The breakfast here is like a vegetarian breakfast. We usually have some porridge. We always have fruits, which is very good. And apart from that, we have some cornflakes, we have toast, and we typically have a different Indian dish every day. So far I've been very happy with breakfast. I didn't feel unwell. I think the breakfast is healthy, and most people are quite happy with the food we are getting. After breakfast, we have some free time. And then we have the alignment and adjustment class. Now, the approach in the alignment and adjustment class, I felt it was a bit different. In most other classes, we were treated as very beginner students to yoga, whereas the alignment teacher, every teacher has a different style. So the alignment teacher, he treats us like yoga teachers. We are here for a yoga teacher training. So his style of teaching is a bit different. And some people got disturbed by that, but that's been quite enjoyable for me. So here we are trying to, we basically, alignment means how the body is correctly aligned in a yoga asana. So which muscles you need to focus on, which part of the body should be stretched, and if you are making a mistake, what can be done to correct it. Now there are different ways you can correct a yoga posture, and a good teacher will always give you verbal commands first. They will try to tell you that, okay, you can try to move your foot here or there, or roll your shoulders back and down, something on those, like some verbal cues. So if a teacher can correct you verbally, that is a very good practice, is what we have been taught here. If that doesn't work, you can also show them by giving a visual cue. You can either do the pose yourself, or you can ask assistant or some student to do the pose as well. Then you can show them this is how you're supposed to do. If both of these things doesn't work, that is when we will actually go and physically adjust or align the student's body in the right way. So that is what we are trying to learn in this class, how we can physically adjust and align the body in a correct yoga posture. So this is what has been happening in this class. We are also learning how we can use different aids, for example blocks or straps, or using the wall for support, for correct body posture, etc. So it's been a very interesting class for me. I have made a bunch of videos. Maybe I'll share one of them with you later. And one thing which the teacher said is, this is something which requires experience. So if you are not sure, do not align or adjust anybody. Let's not experiment on our own body or somebody else's body for that. So this is about what's been typically happening in an alignment class. If I have to tell you how the class works, we typically take one asana. For example, say we take the Uttanasana or full forward bend. So we will, the teacher will typically ask somebody to come to the front of the class and ask them to do the pose. And then, he will try to verbally correct them. Then, he will try to show them how the correct way to do it, and then physically adjust them and show different techniques, like using props or using the wall, or touching the body in an appropriate way and adjusting the yoga pose. So this is what's happening in the alignment class.
Lift the toes up. Toes. Bend the knee. It will not work for you. Little more bend. Inhale. Yeah, that's better. Take more. That's better. Bend. Bend the knee. Yeah. That's a better position. Little more. This is better position.
Yeah, this part is straight now.
Little more higher. That's better.
Is it more important that the heel will touch the floor or the...
Have the human anatomy class, which is very important class because in this class we are learning the different human body structures and how the asanas can affect these structures, etc. So in the first week we have started with the respiratory system, because breathing is a very important part of yoga practices, and our respiratory system is directly related to breathing, and how breathing induces shape changes in the body, how it can massage the physical body, and how it physically changes our body. So these are some things which we have been learning in the anatomy class, and we also started discussions on the skeletal system. And after this we have the lunch break. Again, like breakfast, the lunch is vegetarian. It has a balanced food. There's always a lot of salad for everybody. They usually have a yogurt and some Indian food. Every day is different, and it's a nice balanced diet so far. So I've had no complaints with the food. Then we have some free time. You can do some self-study. We have like 1 hour of self-study here. We have some free time for doing our own personal things. Then in the evening at 3:45 p.m. we meet up for the philosophy class. Now when I came to do this course, my main objective was I want to work on my flexibility, because I'm recovering from a finger injury. I'm a rock climber. I was not able to do that, so I thought yoga is a good way to increase my body flexibility, and also I was interested in maybe doing it as a career option. That's what attracted me here. When I came here, I have learned that the physical part, doing the asanas, is just a very small portion of yoga. And in this school, the main focus is not really on the physical part. It is more on the spiritual part and the different aspects of yoga. And what are these different aspects of yoga is what we are sort of focusing in the philosophy classes as well. So philosophy class is my favorite class so far, and we have been focusing on many different aspects. For example, we are talking about different aspects of yoga, like yoga is not just the physical body, it is also the control over your mind. It also has aspects like enlightenment, and why we are focusing on the physical part is to prepare our body, our mind, our emotions to also excel in these other parts of yoga. So I will not go into what exactly is happening in these classes, because they are very deep concepts, and how the classes run is typically the teacher comes, he introduces us to certain concepts. For example, in one class we were discussing about gunas. There are 3 gunas which constitute this entire universe, like tamas, rajas, and sattva. So these 3 gunas constitute the entire universe. Now what do these 3 mean? Where do they come from? What kind of world we are living in today? So we really go into these things, and it's a very deep and interesting discussions we have, and every day we are having different concepts, and he's preparing us all these concepts for future classes which are going to relate to yoga. So we will talk about it more maybe in the next video. And this is typically what is happening in the philosophy class, after which we have a 10 minutes break, and then at 5 p.m. we have our favorite class, the Ashtanga Vinyasa class. So what is Ashtanga Vinyasa? So Vinyasa means movement of your body with breath, and Ashtanga originally refers to 8 limbs of yoga, which was founded by Patanjali the Great. And Ashtanga Vinyasa was founded by
Joyce.
Joyce, Mr. Joyce, I.K. Joyce, or somebody. And he was a great, he really respected Patanjali. So in respect of Patanjali, the great, or one of his teachers, he named this practice as Ashtanga Vinyasa. This is arguably the most popular form of yoga of modern times, especially in the Western countries. So what typically happens in this is we are taking different things from different aspects of yoga. For example, we are taking some asana practices, we are taking some pranayama practices, we are taking some meditation practices, and we are combining them all into a flow for one single workout. So in today's world, people have less time, so they can take out 60 minutes to 90 minutes for 1 hour of session where whether they realize it or not, but they are doing all these things. So this is becoming very popular, but I should warn that this is also a more advanced practice. So for beginners, it may not be the best practice to start their yoga journey. Maybe they are better off doing Hatha, get more knowledge about basic asanas and stuff. Once they are more comfortable with their body, they can try the Ashtanga Vinyasa flows. Now what typically happens in this particular class is there's not much talking. We have a teacher and assistant teacher. The teacher typically introduces us to a sequence. For example, we began with sun salutation. We have a sun salutation A and B. Sun salutation A has 9 vinyasas, or 9 movements of the body with each breath. So they typically show us all the different asanas we do in each of these vinyasas. Then they tell us where we need to focus on for each movement. They're supposed to focus on a certain body part, for example, say tip of the nose, or looking at the tip of the thumbs, or looking at the navel, looking at the ground, looking at the sky, etc. Also at each of the vinyasa positions, we are supposed to concentrate on a certain chakra. Chakra is a more advanced concept. We'll cover it in a later video. And then they show us the flow. After they show us each individual positions, how it's supposed to run, and then we basically start practicing the same. So typically in the first week, they introduce us to sun salutation A, sun salutation B, and then we have been basically practicing each individual asana. Then we practice the sequence where we hold for 5 breaths, and then we finally do each movement with each single breath. Also, you were introduced to the concept of Ujjayi breath, which is a type of a pranayama exercise. So, we are combining different things. We are combining asanas, pranayama, meditation, controlling the mind all into one workout. So that is typically what's happening in Ashtanga Vinyasa class. And finally, we have the meditation class. And in meditation class, every day we are trying different meditation practices. For example, one day we had like a connection meditation where we are holding hands and we are doing some chanting. The other day we are doing a Om chanting, and every day we are having a different style of meditation practices to introduce us to different meditation practices, and also so that you can feel how after like doing intense physical workout, if you do meditation practices, how you can observe your mind, and it does feel nice for me. So that's typically how our day runs. And then we have dinner, which is again vegetarian, and apart from this is how our day runs. For the 200-hour course, Thursday is a half day, so after the anatomy class we have the half day to do whatever you want, and Sunday is a full day holiday. So this is how our first week has run so far, and thanks. I hope it was useful.